just have to ask myself, is that actually my strategy to factor in news, or to not trade, to simply not trade when news is out? Like,
right.
I have to figure out if that's a real criteria for myself.
Well, one thing I definitely noticed this week, right, is like relating to news is like when news is present, volume's present. When news isn't present, right? What just on this week, how it affected price action, right? And how I let it affect me, right? Just like what you said. I mean, I made some mistakes this week that really highlighted some issues I need to work on, right? Like profit taking. Monday, right? We had this gap down. Beautiful gap down. Let me pull up the 1 hour. One thing I also realized, which I don't want to get too off topic, right? But like I realized one of my main issues. So I had 7 days this week or this month that were red, right? I had 13 red trades, and every single one of them, Darren, I was trading against the 1 hour 9D EMA, right? Meaning every single one of them, Darren, every single one of my red trades was against the 9. This is on SPX without pre-market data, right? Just so you know. So that's also another factor, right? So like, I'm going to show you right here. I took a trade, right? This was an amazing trade Monday. A great trade, gap down. I was targeting. Okay, so we gap down, and we have pre-market low, or I'm sorry, previous day low right here, which was rather close to end of day. End of day was right above it, and I'm looking to play the gap fill, right? I want to take price up into previous day low and target this space in between, this market imbalance. Now, first thing I got my eye on is this pre-market structure, right? I obviously want to see some strength come here into 520.41. So that was my trade plan, right? Really proud of myself on the way I created the trade plan, etc. Now, I want to show you what I'm talking about with that 9, right? So if I pull up, I'm going to pull up SPX here on the chart on the left. And this is Monday right here. So notice how we're obviously opening below the 9. There's that gap, right? So playing into the 9, that's not a bad move, right? Especially if you get a gap. But be aware of what's going to happen when price tags the 9, right? Like this little point right here is what I'm talking about, how we kind of ripped into the 9 and price just really couldn't get above it. Now, if you look though, I take the market long, right? We have open print established right here. I had a phenomenal entry here. So price rips up, comes into open print, rejects open print, comes down. We get this little pullback into the 9. I take the market long on this candle, right? Playing into the strength, trying to get a move up here to 520.97 and miss it. Right? And this is going to happen, bro. Like this was one of my trades I wasn't really beating myself up with. I was in this trade holding for previous day low, and we couldn't get it, right? Like we couldn't get it the whole day. I held this trade all the way to here, but by this time decay really diluted my premiums, and I let the P&L number affect my profit taking here, right? I didn't take profits on this trade. I ended up getting stomped out at around here for around like 30%, right? So think about it. A beautiful setup, a beautiful entry, great trade plan, didn't hit my target, and I kind of allowed that number, right? Because I mean, it happens to all of us. I don't know if you watch your P&L, Debo, but like when I get up here, I obviously know how much money I'm up. And then that number comes to mind, right? So around here, I'm like up like $240 on my premiums. And we don't hit P&L, previous day low. So now when price comes up here later in the day, you got time decay, you got, implied volatility, whatever else is affecting the premium, right? Now that 240 number is now around like, I don't know, $50, $60, It's completely been diminished throughout the day. And because of that, I failed to get out of the trade, let it go against me, stop me out for 30%. Right. So this is something I definitely need. I'm going to be focusing on working on a lot, because I've noticed I've let this happen to me almost every single one of my losing or my red days. So
initially when it was green on you, basically. The trade was in profit.
Yeah, it was in profit, bro. I was up almost like 30%. Oh, definitely more than 30% on the trade. Probably around that. And letting that target and I don't know, that number, right? That initial number right here, that 240 on the premium, right? Kind of set a standard in my mind. Like, hey, I'm up 240 here, and now I'm not, and I want it back. And I don't get it back because the market doesn't care about my 240, right? The market the market operates on its own. So like just becoming aware of that, right? And this was a hard one, right? Previous day low was right there the whole time. I was being stubborn with it.
That's a long time to hold a trade.
Yeah.
That's an extremely long time to hold a trade.
Married it. Yeah, bro, the whole day. Pretty much the whole day. And
the problem with that is like, let's say you did want to get long again at 1 o'clock, for example, where we came down and retested that level. You're now in drawdown.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're in drawdown at that point.
Yes.
It's going to be very, very difficult to go long again and add to your position once you're in drawdown. Because at least I have a rule for myself that I won't add to a trade if I'm in drawdown.
That's actually
I'll just let it go. I'll only add to a position if I get a pullback to where I want and the trade is still in profit. Because then I know that I'm operating based out of confidence and not out of fear.
Yes.
Because if my trade is in drawdown, then I'm acting fearfully because I really needed to trade back in my direction.
That's
now you can't think clearly.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Right? Because I did add to this position. Right? And it was like, if I just didn't like it, bro. And now I remember why we created that rule. You know what I'm saying? Like, I basically what happened to me here is I married the outcome of previous day low, and everything was pointing to it, and it just didn't hit. And you know what I mean? When I, could have got out of this trade multiple times. And this is one thing I'm now working on, is meditating and becoming mindful of what it feels like to go, okay, this isn't working for me the way I want it to. Am I okay with getting out of this trade right here, right now, down 10%? Or does it need to be, a 30% winner or a 30% loser, right? This is one thing I'm really working on, because that awareness it takes to be able to make that decision is critical. It's always been, it needs to be one of our strengths. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not working for me. Like you said, getting out of the trade is going to do more for me so that I could re-enter with a fresh state of mind. So.
Yeah, it's difficult. So I took that same long, and the reason I did it is because I could see that open print had been won. And so that was like short-term bullish conditions for me.
Yeah.
And I was actually still bullish until I saw sellers come in at previous day low. And so I got long a little bit later than you did, and I stopped out.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where I stopped out, but I think it was probably right there.
Yeah.
I think it was probably right there.
It was right here.
Yeah,
I remember. And when you stomped out, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, dude, I should get out of this. Like, it's done. You know what I mean? Like, but,
Yeah. Oh, I remember seeing. So whatever these, if you look right at 11:30, 11:15, these candles right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that pattern is right there, but maybe it's like, I don't know, when you have a whole bunch of candles, red and green, that all look exactly the same.
Yeah, this was so annoying.
I just saw that, and there's probably a name for it. I have no idea, and it may have some symbolism, but I just saw it, and I was just thinking, like,
migraine.
There's no direction here.
Yeah.
No side is really taking this, and I said, okay, if I hadn't gotten in a trade here, I would not be looking.
Right.
This would not be long criteria, not at all.
It was every
and
yeah, I completely agree. Every red candle got met with a green. Every red, vice versa. It was garbage, right? But going back through this trade, right? Like just focusing on what I could have done better, right? And in my mind, I'm going, listen, and know what's crazy, Darren? I usually every time we get extended from the 9, I book profits. This was a phenomenal trade for me, bro. This was great. I actually ended up with 3 contracts at SBX on this, and I bought 2, ripped up, right? And instead of scaling, right, which I always do when we get extended from the 9, I didn't, right? Like, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like you want to work on holding your trades longer, right? Which is not a bad thing, right? But at the same time, you want to become structured with your take profits, but at the same time, the market, like we talked about last week, is formless, right? So you must be formless, right? So just letting that kind of, affect me. And, so instead of ending the day positive, a good amount because I scaled up, I ended up taking almost a $600 L this day. But what I am proud of is my ability to stick to my stops, right? Stick to the trade plan. You know what I'm saying? I also built a lot of good beliefs this day, right? Within myself, right? Like this was one of my first days back to trading 2 contracts on SPX. And at one point I had 3 of them and I thought I operated perfectly, right? Because I bought 2, ended up scaling back in or buying another one on this candle right here, right? We came up and then we closed. Market looked kind of like this. This was just a shitty day, if you ask me. But that's the game. I'm trying to get it here. Once this green candle here, kind of gave me some acceptance. I'm trying to get it right, like this. I was like, okay, I'll go for this here. I like the relationship with the 9. I like seeing this structure hold right here. I mean, this is one of those days where, bro, sometimes it's just you're gonna identify an edge and you're gonna put on a trade, and it's just not gonna go your way, and you got to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it.
Yeah. So one thing that helped me this day was this week I implemented my new strategy of instead of doing bracket orders, I will just I'll put in my order for 10 contracts, and then I'll immediately put in my hard stop. And then as soon as price goes up to my 1-to-1, then I will take 3 or 4 contracts off the top, and then leave my hard stop where it was originally. So I'll put my hard stop back in, and so that allows me to now take profits based on where I see, when I see the market stop, losing momentum, then I can take profits there, as opposed to sitting and waiting for my exact 1-to-1 to hit. And I took profits on 3 contracts just before my 1-to-1, like very, very close before my 1-to-1. And it basically reduced my risk on that trade. And I think I stopped out. I stopped out for a break-even trade, but still, the only reason was because I took some profits.
Yeah, that's well done, bro. I like seeing you modify your take profit strategy. You know what I'm saying? That's good. That's
Yeah, it feels good to be more in control of the process.
Yeah,
not leaving it up to like, well, I got stopped out by I didn't take profits when I should have because it never hit my take profit, my limit, and it's like that's not taking responsibility. That's putting responsibility on my limit stop to get me out.
Yeah,
when I should be getting out when I see the market losing momentum.
Yeah, exactly. And bro, being formless. That's the name of the game right there, bro. Formless. I mean, the next day was a perfect example of that. And bro, look at the diff. I gotta show you this right here. So check this out, bro. SPX really helped me trade this next day. And I'm gonna show you why. And we've seen it a couple times this week where SPX and SPY had significant differences. Or I don't know. Maybe it's just me in the way I'm looking at it. But like, so chart on the left is SPX, chart on the right is SPY, obviously. And this day, we had another really good retest of open print. Let me see here. I got in on this candle right here, took this long, and I'm going to show you. No, it was I got in on this candle. Okay, so I took SPX long. Once this candle closed, I liked seeing buyers defend OP, right? Took this long with my stop below open print on SPX because in my mind I'm going, if we fall below, I like this candle right here, how we came below open print, snagged that liquidity right there, and then ripped up, right? So I really like that. I was willing to put on risk. I had a really good entry on this as well, which really helped. And that was one thing I've been working on, right? Is like learning to understand, like in my mind, I'm going, okay, if sellers can get price below 5228, right, and hold, right, we get some structure below open print, I could see a gap fill. But if they can't, what's that telling me, right? I'm going, okay, if they can't, I want to long the market up into 5234 and or the highs, right, which was the previous end of day, right? You can see right here, this thing was a wall. This was a straight wall right here. But that was kind of my methodology, like that was my mind frame going into it. Now, look at the price action on SPY, right? It was just so much like way more disorganized, if you ask me, right? So I long the market and we get a pullback. Market looks like this. I don't care. I'm in full. I'm trading 2 contracts. I don't care. My stops, and that's what I love about the hard stop and the knowledge of risk reward, right? Because even coming off a day like this, right? I don't care. I stick to my strategy, which is risk reward entirely, right? I'm risking 200 to make at least 200 and above, right? So going, okay, first thing in my mind I'm going is, can I make 200 on this, or can I hit my 1-to-1 on this? Yes, right? Even with a targeting the highs and above, right? And then I'm going, okay, where can my risk be? I'm like, okay, down here. Okay, take the market long, get the pullback, get a nice green candle and a rip up until here, right? So I'm like, okay, this is where I trimmed, right? We ripped above it right into the highs. And that's one thing I've been working on, bro. One thing that used to hurt my profitability was, let's see what happens at the top, right? Or at my take profit. And now what happens when you view it that way, and I'm not saying it's the wrong way, I'm just saying the way it affected me is, if I'm going into my take profit with, SPX trades very fast. I mean, everything does, right? So like, as price is rallying into my take profit, I have to ask myself, and this is what really helps with trading multiple contracts, is I'm going to take one off the top and then we're going to see what happens, right? Instead of being like, oh, I'm going to go full position size up into the top here. And, because at that point, you're now betting all your profits. Like, how can I say this? The day before, I bet my sufficient profits to see if it would go further, right? And then that ended up costing me, right? So now I'm going, okay, is it worth taking it off the top here and then seeing what happens, right? And that's exactly what I did. I took one off the top up here, and then just like the day before, we were getting a lot of this like rip down then rip back up. And if you're gonna hold SPX, if you buy SPX contracts in the morning, it's if it's not rallying in your direction, it's probably best to get out of the trade. Any holding after like 10:30 can really hurt your premiums with time decay, even in the money, right? So I had the 5235 call, so I was not in the money. So I ended up getting out of this second one when we, ripped below structure here at this point. So I pretty much broke even on my second contract, which was what I thought a beautiful execution given the conditions of the market here.
Yeah, that's a good place to take profit.
Yeah,
I really like that, and that was your strategy, and you rewarded yourself for it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think psychologically, that's another huge reason why we should be taking profits, not just so we can not be in a red trade, but also we can reward ourselves
right.
when we have made our analysis and we acted, you have to reward yourself somehow.
Yes.
And it feels good, and it's also good for your psychology.
Yeah. And what you're gonna see. Oh, dude, I love that you said that, because check this out. I'm gonna read this to you real quick. This is straight out of the book. Dude, check this out. What you just said, bro. Check this out. I've never been able to articulate it the way he did right here. So basically, the success mechanism, right, is how your subconscious works towards goals. But look at number 4. Skill learning of any kind is accomplished by trial and error, mentally correcting aim after an error until a successful motion, movement, or performance has been achieved. After that, further learning, continued success, is accomplished by forgetting the past errors and behaviors and remembering the successful response so that it can be immediated. So it's literally what you just said right there.
Yeah,
it's insane, bro.
We gotta realize when we did something correct. And
yes.
Look, it doesn't have to be a banger trade.
Yeah, no.
Because they're not always like that.
Right.
But we have to recognize when we did something correct.
Yeah.
And in this case, reward ourselves.
Yeah, and it says here, it's accomplished by forgetting the past behavior and remembering your successful response. Right? So I'm a nerd. I love shit like this. You know what I mean? So like that's how we turn into the traders we need to become, though. Right? Like a lot of traders that I coach and talk to, they're like, oh, well, I keep making the same mistakes over and over. I'm like, it's because you still think deep in your mind that's the correct thing to do at that moment, right? So it's nice seeing, right? Like, especially coming off the day before, I was proud of myself to be able to, get out of a trade at break even, right? Not every trade is going to be a 30% winner or a 30% loser, right? Like, dude, learn to make decisions based on the current market environment. And then, price just dicked around for the rest of the day. I really like this green candle up into the highs, but there was no follow through. And I loved, Darren, that we're now the traders that need follow through, right? Like, I don't just long this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of traders, closed above the level in it. Absolutely not, dude. That's how you get smoked. Dude, some traders are great at it. They must be amazing at stomping out of these because, I constantly see trades that have no follow through. Yeah.
I actually like that the whatever price action we saw at 11.55. I actually like that for a short entry. I did not take it, but when I recap this day, that was So owning open Brent was bullish, and then suddenly we saw that big red candle.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a way like drawing some kind of little critical level or zone and saying, okay, there's something going on at this level. If we do make it up to that level and we see significant selling, like some sort of bearish engulfing, that should be a short criteria. I never actually took that trade, and I can't remember why, but looking back, that was a potential short play. And the short play at the end of the day, I don't know how anybody could have predicted that. I don't know if there was news or anything, but I'm not so much beating myself up about capturing that as nice as it would have been. But that one trade off of like the highs, rejecting the highs, like for the whatever third, fourth time, that was a good setup in my mind.
I love how you think right now, bro, because like you know how many times in my past I long this because it's green, it's ripping, it's strength, and then this happens. So you got to think. In my past, right, I've longed this, and when there's no follow through, what goes through your mind? Oh shit, buyers better show up soon because I just bought my contracts extremely high because the volume was so high here, right? And now I literally need price to go here just to get my money back, right? And it's not. So like I love putting myself in the losing side of the trade and be like, okay, like how can we make money on this, right? And that's exactly what you're doing, right? Like using these, I think they call them like exhaustion candles, right? Where you get a massive engulfing and then it has no follow through, right? It's like It's like there's just massive orders up here, and large money wants it right there or something, right? So yeah, I like how you think though, because I thinking that way is going to always keep you waiting for the follow through, and not only that, you're going to be able to capitalize on all these traders' downfall, which is impatience.
Yeah. The other side to this scenario is on choppy days, like just because you're no longer bullish doesn't necessarily mean you're bearish. In some cases, it does if the criteria is there. But since we were just trading back and forth inside of this channel, if you were long here and you suddenly weren't long, it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do to just reverse your position. Right. And I found myself wanting to do that, but I never actually executed on it because it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
I feel like that comes from a place of just wanting to be right. And if you're wrong, you assume that, okay, if I reverse my position, then, I'm going to be right again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not at all. No. That shouldn't be your reasoning for getting into a trade. No. Is all I'm trying to say.
That will always lead to revenge trading. You're 100% right. That actually was that was a big feat for me, bro. It took me a while to do what you're talking about. Is like, okay, you're not that damn special, buddy. Just because you took a losing trade doesn't mean you were 100% wrong, right? Like, it doesn't mean flip your position, right? Like, and I truly believe it takes a level of acceptance to do what you're talking about, right? Like, it means I don't need to be right whatsoever. To make money, I don't need to always be right. So just because I'm wrong doesn't mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean just flip it. That was really hard for me, bro, to learn. That was a big one for me. It was a big one for me. Like, it took me a while. I mean, just like these fake out green candles, bro. I mean, look at this off open print, bro. I wanted to long this so bad, but I'm like, bro, like, what's my criteria? Is my criteria critical level and hold and close above the 9, or is there structure in there? I always need structure. I need follow through. There was none of it. This thing just kept. It was garbage. I mean, look at the fake out here too. Like, I wanted to short this really bad. It just had no follow through here. I mean, but the main reason why I didn't short this is like, I don't know. It was just I didn't like the way. Maybe it was the 1 hour. I'm not really sure why. It was just one of those days. I think we've learned to kind of stay away from them. I took that trade, didn't work my way.
You gotta ask yourself, like, are you trading your strategy, or are you trading because you want to fulfill the need to put on a trade and feel some type of way about your trading skills?
Yeah.
And I asked myself that many times this week, like, why am I actually trying to put on this trade?
Yeah.
Like, is this actually my strategy, or am I just being like, there's a tiny little chance that this could be a green trade, and so that's why I'm putting it on.
And look at the chart on the right, bro. This is SPY 1 hour time frame, just ripping into the 9 and not getting past it, right? Just can't. Once, twice, 3 times, right? So this has been a really big help for me, right? Like, and I'm excited going forward into this month. Going, okay, like, be aware, because if you're considering longs and the market looks like this, just be aware, right? Like, that 9 can be a wall. You know what I'm saying? Like just ask yourself, what do I really need to see to long the market targeting the highs here when we're below that 9 and we got 2 candles of indecision, right? So, like, that was a big one for me. Just realizing that most of the trades I took, actually, I'm sorry, every trade I took this month that was a loss was against the 9. And so Wednesday was I had a really good short play here. I was really proud of this short play. And I'm going to break down what was going through my head here. So obviously that previous day high in this case was, that just buyers cannot show any acceptance at this level. So I'm going, okay, this was another day that SPX really helped me as well. Because the way I'm doing this, hold on, let me whip out the 5 here. Okay, so price looks like this. We're gapping up into previous day high, right? So we actually looked very strong. Now my pre-market plan looked like this on the right, where I had this demand zone down here at 1950, right, give or take, and then the market looked like this pre-market. So I'm going, okay, labeled my previous day high right here. Let me get rid of this. Okay, and we'll just get rid of this too for whatever. So anyways, we're ripping into 5235 on SPX, and the 2-minute actually helped me really well here. I rarely use the 2-minute, but the reason I did is I wanted to play long above 5235, but I wanted to see buyers own the level, right? And then if they couldn't, I was going to be targeting open print. That was my first target. And then I was going to be targeting this 520 level on SPY, which on SPX was 5218, right? So this was my plan going into this, right? It looks something like this. We're ripping into it. And then just like you said before, Darren, right? Like the market looks like this. We close above the level. I didn't like the structure into this. This is not my criteria for long. So I just didn't make a move. And instead I'm going, okay, let's see what happens. Immediately we get a candle closing below it, right? And I think on SPY it like showed it a little better. Let me see. So, oh yeah, it was right off open print on SPY. Look at that.
It was.
So, dude, I seen this on SPY, and I'm going, would I ever, if I'm holding a long position, am I happy this is happening? Absolutely not. I'm like, this is so bearish, lower high, open print, rejection. And this candle closed below it literally ate the price action on this one. So I'm like, okay, the quicker I get in this, the better risk reward I have. Right. And I'm like, okay, I'll just enter in this short. And my risk, if I do that, my risk can go all the way up to pre-market high. And this thing just sunk, dude. It was immediate sell. 2 contracts, sold the first one right here at 5226, and then this thing sunk all the way down to 5218, and I ended up selling my last contract, my second contract, on this candle right here because I didn't want to fight that demand zone. But I was blown away with how this worked, bro, and just how simple I kept it. And it just really highlights the fact that you don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. All you can do is identify your edge and just play the market. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful setup right there.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was weird to me that we made it above this above yesterday's,
high.
I had a little demand zone that we kind of rejected, and we made it above that. And so I was expecting a little bit more of a fight at that level, but we lost it really, really quick.
Yeah.
And I did not actually take that short because it was too fast, but beautiful setup.
And that's the thing, Debo. I never trade the market this early. Never. Like, and on the and looking at the 5-minute, bro, like, because I had the 2-minute up and I had the 5-minute up as well, right? Like, we ripped right into this, and I'm like, okay. 50-50 perspective here. I'm going, buyers hold this and we rally. I was like, or sellers hold it and we sink. I was like, if we sink, we're going to go, where's my next level? Open print. I was like, but if open print don't hold, right? It was one of those things, bro, when you're in that mode, and it just made sense it just made perfect sense to me. So I put it on, right? And I was blown away, bro. I was really pumped because I'm trying to get more towards flow state every single day, right? Where it's, if it's in front of me and my criteria is there, I put on the trade, right? And it felt good. It felt like one of my old double top trades, but it wasn't, right? Because it was off open print. There was all that criteria there. So it was a really good trade. I was pumped. on that trade. It took care of both my losses from both my days from the previous day. I was so pumped, and it really helped me highlight risk reward. Like if I let Monday get out of hand, if I let Tuesday get out of hand, this day wouldn't have taken care of those losses. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like if I let these go past my $200 losses, the losses would have depleted my capital to be able to trade properly 2 contracts on this trade, and it would have, then maybe I would have had some fear going into the trade. Maybe I wouldn't have taken for whatever reason, right? So what this day did for me was help me realize, once again, I put my faith in risk reward. I don't put my faith in this strategy I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean? I mean it like risk reward matters more than everything else in this game, right? If you can implement proper risk reward, you can have a shitty strategy and still make money, right? I mean, you prove that with the coin toss. You can literally flip a coin.
Yep.
You could flip a coin and make money. So and it's crazy because I dive so deep into this topic with traders and they're like, dude, strategy analysis. I'm like, no, bro, it's risk reward. Like that's your strategy. So I was so thankful. I was so thankful. And then I ended up having another trade I took short right here, bro. So I had a yeah. So let's. He said. So I take the market short. Really good trade if you ask me. I take the market short on this candle, right? I was really like we closed below structure, I'm in it. My stop was above this candle, almost get stopped out. This thing starts to rally down. Bro, Darren, at right here, I'm up 116% on my trade. And then this thing starts to rip. I only one contract, right? And as it starts ripping, I get out of this trade immediately. I ended up selling this trade for a 30% profit. So I was very thankful. But
oh wow, that's good.
Yeah, no, I and that's the thing. That's the main reason why I like when I'm trading SPX later in the day here, I got my hard stop in, but I got my cancel replace order on my fingertips. And it's because this exact reason. Because I mean, stuff like this happens constantly. But I was just super pumped. I was able to get out of that trade relatively quick. And you can see this thing just rallied. So
if anyone got in now, kudos. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a cup and handle I'm seeing. But that was the only
thing
I could see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of ways I would have played this. I mean, this break above all this structure is definitely a sign of strength. I mean, if you could get in on the retest of structure here and target this high, that would have been a great move. But yeah, these plays happen. You got to be very quick with them, and you got to know what you're getting into. I do love plays like this. I caught one the next day. But you just have to be completely aware of where your risk is and be ready to get out because I mean, bro, SPX contracts down here were $30 and they closed up here for like $7,000. So like these moves offer so much money. It's insane. But you just gotta know what you're getting into, right? Like this thing could go against you in one candle. And I mean, you just went from $200 premiums to $5 premiums, right? So you got to be, you just got to be quick. But yeah, that was wild. I was laughing because and that's the thing, bro. Like as I see myself growing into the trader, where I'm realizing you can't. There's no point. There's no point in getting frustrated. I mean, me and you were texting on these couple of these rough days, bro, and I loved it because it was a testimony to how much we're growing as a trader. Because like Monday, dude, I got took $600 spanking. Right, Tuesday took almost $500 spanking, and I'm texting. Me and Darren are texting, going, "Dude, don't care. Like it really doesn't fucking matter." I'm like, bro, We followed exactly what we're supposed to do. I just like seeing us growing into these individuals where we could have these bad days. Or I'm not even going to call them bad days. I'm just going to call them red days. Have these red days and be unfazed by it.
Yeah, if you look at it in the long term, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. I really don't care about my weekly P&L. I'm more focused on monthly. And like, what am I going to do when it comes to shit like this? Am I going to really be upset? Oh, the market didn't go my way. That's shit my 4-year-old does. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you can't control it. Right. So there's no point in getting frustrated with it. It's just adapt for the next day. And then we went into the shitty Friday, right? Dude, this price
or Thursday.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. Thursday. This price action was trash, but I'm really proud with the way I traded it. More importantly, I took a long here off open print. Where was it? Hold on. Actually, that's why. It's because SPY and SPX was once again completely different here. Okay, so let me see what happened. So actually, there's actually one thing I'm not exactly too pumped about. I got in this trade really quick. Now my entry. So if you ask me, I would consider this breaking character. I entered this trade long. Well, I don't know. It's up for debate, bro. I kind of want your input on this. Actually, I got in this trade. There was a couple of reasons why, right? So first things first, I noticed sellers lose open print, and hold on. There was no upside targets, correct? Hold on. Yeah, there was. Let me see.
All-time highs.
Yes, all-time highs.
We were hunting all-time highs.
Yes, thank you. So I was super okay. So the way I was looking at this is obviously we have a massive rally from Wednesday. If we could get acceptance above this level, which lined up with this level right here, right, which was pretty significant for me. If we could hold this 52.48 level, I wanted to play long into 52.61. So we kind of, what was going through my mind, right? Because it's not what you do, it's what you're thinking when you're doing it. So sellers showed up, right? You know what I mean? So sellers showed up, and price rips into open print, and it rejects, and then we get this candle, right? So in my mind, I'm still bearish, and then when this comes down and starts to rally above it, I'm going, okay, I want to get in this long. This way, I'm next to end of day. I was just more concerned with my risk, right? And that's the only reason I don't want to say I initially broke character, but there was not really that much structure on this trade, which is looking back, trading off a 2-minute with no structure is extremely risky. So that's one thing I wasn't that that's the one reason I don't like my entry on this trade. But I did get in it very fast. I got in this trade right around here. Right. So once again, probably from coming off a, slamming morning trade on Wednesday or Tuesday, this could have maybe, fueled this behavior here. But I wanted to keep my risk like below this candle. So for me to do that, I had to kind of get in around end of day as best as possible. And price ripped up, didn't take profit. And this thing just sat around for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, usually when we rip towards the end of the day and there's high volume like we saw, so Wednesdays, there was an extreme amount of volume towards the end of the day, and I saw it really, really start piling in once we cleared like 522.30.
Yeah. So
I had a little demand zone, a little zone underneath previous day high, and as long as I saw sellers losing it and buyers proving that they wanted it, that was criteria for me to go long, targeting all-time highs.
Right.
And that's what I did. I believe I got in at open print, and my stop was at like 523, I believe. And you know, I couldn't stop out because buyers kept on owning it at open print, and then we dipped below open print, and it stopped me out. And eventually, it ended up ripping. But that's way too long for me to hold my trade all the way through. I'm happy I stopped out where I did. But I saw what I needed to confirm bullish conditions, but it just never played out like I wanted to. So I'm not really kicking myself about it. It's just unfortunate that it was just terrible price action until the move actually happened later in the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was just over. It was just it was over and over. Bro, I held this trade the whole day.
Oof.
Yeah. The whole day. Now, the thing is though, is I bought my in the money contracts. Criteria didn't change. I never put myself in a position where I was willing to, completely take a devastating hit. And then, I mean, right here, the market was really close of hitting me, and it just, ended up rallying. It was, bro. I mean, the thing here is the criteria never broke. It never broke. It literally never broke. End of day in open print. Always held, bro. It was insane watching it. It was a massive headache holding like this. Like you said, bro, like you getting out and just being over it. Like I applaud that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's not worth the mental capital. One thing I'm very proud of though, is once this thing started to rally, like it ripped right into all-time high. And I already had this sense of like, I don't know, maybe I was just mentally exhausted, but I did really well with taking profits on this trade. I did extremely well with it. I ended up getting out on this candle right here. But it was wild. The 9 never broke. It held. And then I literally got out. SPY shows it a little better. On this right here, finished the week and was done. And I'm really excited to see what next week brings. This was a challenging week, bro. Like it really was. I don't know. Maybe it was just for me. A lot of days had low volume. I mean, but I think we stuck to our edge as best we could. And it is what it is. And this is why what'd you say earlier? Like, this is why I focus on long term. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't focus on daily P&L. Are you crazy? How are you going to judge your worth on a day like a Thursday, bro? You can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you traded your edge properly this day, you fucking killed it, bro. And it's as simple as that. So,
yeah, it's just these moves that happen later in the day. I really think it's worth saving buying power.
Yes.
Especially if you notice there's chop, save buying power because you don't want, like, if you are in a place where you can mentally see what's happening towards the end of the day and there's been consolidation, you want to leave like that retest right there that you're looking at.
Flawless.
You want to have capital for that if at all possible.
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing worse than over trading in the morning, revenge trading,
watching
and then
this,
sitting on your hands and then watching that happen with no buying power.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
I've done it so many times, bro. And now, if specifically for that reason, I always make sure I have at least enough for one contract at the end of the day because, bro, I told you before, I make most of my money after 12. Like, after 12 to 1 o'clock is when I make most of my bread on these trades, bro, because the risk is very small. Like, because the premiums are literally like $300, right? So I'm risking $100, like 120 on my premium, 150 to make astronomical returns. You know what I'm saying? Like, these contracts went up to over 1,000. More than 1,000. They rallied. So, I mean, the ones from the day before, I didn't catch that move. But, yeah, definitely agree with holding that buying power and just being ready. But more importantly, bro, going into April, right? Another month down. the biggest thing that I'm noticing, especially with like me and you and obviously other traders on the team, is the criteria is increasing, right? Like I take, dude, I think January I took like 40 trades. February I took like, like 30 something. Dude, March I took 31 trades, right? Like that number's going down. It's going lower. But
Good. That's good. It means getting more selective.
Yeah, and my overall gross is right around the same. It's crazy. Like, and what that's telling me, right, is like I told you, I increased the amount of money coming up per trade. And if that's the case, I mean, we did this study a long time ago, bro. Remember I told you I was getting out of trades 88% of the time too early, right? Like that was one of my metrics, right? It was like, dude, no, you exit trades 88% of the time too early. Well, how do you determine it's too early? Well, it ended up hitting the market imbalance and you weren't in it, right? So like the biggest thing that, that I want everyone that's going to end up listening to this and in that myself that I want to work on is dive through your metrics, figure out where you're at and where you can improve, right? And don't be afraid to dive into it, bro. There's tons of shit I need to improve, bro. I mean, with scaling up, and how much, loss can I actually sustain? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I okay with taking a red day every single day of the week? If not, maybe I'm not ready to scale, right? Like really, really diving into these things, right, is going to give you the awareness you need to trade your edge with that confidence we look for. So, yeah, biggest thing I noticed was trading against the 9. Don't like it. Sometimes it's different because there's gap fill plays, etc. So just to be aware of what price looks like when it's coming into it. So that's
I used the VIX a lot this week. And it did not help me.
Yeah.
So, some days it helped me.
Yeah.
I mean, some weeks it helps me, and this one definitely did not.
Yeah.
It's just like, VIX was just selling off, and that's where I went long on like Thursday and what was it? Oh, also I think Tuesday it was just selling off.
But the buying wasn't there.
I really wanted. Yeah, but the buying was not there, and it was just like you can't entirely base your trade on the VIX, but also like you have to realize like when it's not working,
right?
And that's just one thing I saw this week. So take that into the next week and ready to make some changes.
Yeah, well, and I love what you did. I like how you said that because one thing I've been doing is don't look at every problem. Look at one. Look at one problem, right? For me, it's trading against the 9 on the 1 hour. I don't like it. I want to change it. So that's what I'm going to focus on this week. One thing, right? I used to be the trader that would come up with 10 reasons why I did terrible, and then none of them get changed. So, yeah, really good, bro. Well, no doubt. We're going to wrap this up, man. It was a great way to end March, bro. I think we took a lot of serenity from this. More importantly, right? Learning to accept shit you can't change and the courage to change the stuff you can. And more importantly, the wisdom to know the difference, bro. Like that's the biggest, dude, it's so powerful, bro. It's so wild. I never understood how powerful that prayer is. I get it. The wisdom is everything, bro. So just learning and gaining that wisdom and that's it, right? So everyone have a great Easter, bro. I'm going to post this up, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Awesome. Happy Easter to those who celebrate, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Peace.